Well, they say music is good for the soul as well as providing a lot of other benefits, but lessons can be so expensive. So, is it worth the costs, the time, and the effort to enroll your children in music lessons? Well, joining us to chat about this is Ray Ross. He is the CEO of Sound and Soul Music and Arts in Lethbridge. Ray, good morning. Good to have you with us today.
Yes, thank you for having me, Jeanette. It's
Okay,
good to be.
oh yeah, you too. So Ray, tell us a little bit about, so you've got sound and soul music and art. So what kind of music lessons do you offer? Do you have any specific kind of approach to teaching?
Yeah, so we have several different services that we're providing to the community right now. We're offering private and group instruction on piano, voice, guitar, and ukulele. Our piano program is probably our most popular right now, but we do have interest growing in the other disciplines. So yeah, that's kind of what we're offering. And then our approach, I would say, like our tagline is really sums up our approach, and it's changing lives through the music through the art of music. Um, and we see that happen every week.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about that changing
Yeah.
lives. So what are some of the benefits of taking music lessons?
Oh man, there's so many. There's I've got a whole list here that I've kind of come up with that our teachers have seen both in-house and then also research suggests. And I'm just going to list some of them. So number one, enhances vocabulary. So students who study piano for 3 consecutive years demonstrate higher vocabulary and verbal sequencing, other than in comparison to like their non-musical peers. Um, and supports cognitive functions, develops reading and writing abilities, encourages self-esteem. We see that all the time. Um, Increases verbal memory, boosts IQ.
I've
You're dealing with
heard
a lot of,
that.
yeah, you're dealing with a lot of different parts of your brain when you're doing music, both listening and learning. And so, and part of learning is listening, right? So good musicians listen. And so boosting IQ is a big one. Develops empathy in your emotional regulations areas of the brain. Raises math and history scores, believe it or not. Reduces aggressive behavior. Teaches students their planning abilities. Encourages perseverance.
Wow,
Improves
a
articulation.
lot.
Yeah, protects against
It
dementia.
sounds like almost
Yeah,
everybody on the planet should take music lessons just
they should.
by the benefits that come out of it. I would assume it
Yeah.
also like develops diligence and tenacity
Oh
and
yeah.
like everything that goes with it. And like you do hear these studies that show that kids who study music typically do perform better in their schooling and develop better language skills. Like you were saying,
Yep.
it's neat how it just kind of taps in to the wiring of your brain.
Sure does.
Yeah. So do you find that, and I think you already answered this, that kids who keep up and keep up with it start to show their personal confidence and self-esteem.
Yes. Yeah. So we see this all the time. And it's not just with kids. We have adult students that come in who are dealing with a whole host of different issues outside of learning music. And as they come into the classroom and they're improving their skill sets on an instrument, they're requiring a lot from their brain and their body. Uh, the effects are just really positive in the other areas of their lives. So yeah, self-esteem, big one.
Yeah. What's the earliest age that a child could start taking music lessons?
We like to say like like in terms of formal lessons where you've got either one-on-one with a teacher or you're in a maybe a small class group setting. We say right around the age that kids are going to start reading. So that varies with some kids, and so we have kids as young as 4, and then we have students as old as in their 60s right now. And so
Oh,
um,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's really cool to do
Yeah,
this.
because I was just going to ask you, what if a child is old, or is it too late for a kid to start lessons in their teens? Typically, guitar starts a little bit later, doesn't it?
Yeah, guitar, the stringed instruments are oftentimes a little trickier. The piano is literally just a bunch of buttons, and so it's pretty easy, but it does require some aptitude for sure. The stringed instruments are tricky because and you can start them early, but it just has to do with the way that the strength that's required for certain activities on a stringed instrument like guitar. So for younger students and who want to play guitar, we recommend starting with a ukulele first, just so they can get a feel for that motion and the positioning. And then if things go well in that realm and they're really sticking to it, then mom and dad are like, yeah, let's put them into guitar. So
Cool. Is there
yeah,
a way to find out what kind of instrument is best suited for your child, or should you let your child sort of lead that a little bit?
good question. So yeah, there's lots of different ways that you can go about this as a parent. I would say that for sure, there's a lot of different factors that go into finding a good situation for your kid learning music. And so I would say finding a trial lesson that you could take somewhere, finding a teacher that you could do an interview with, finding a little program that you could maybe do a trial on. And we actually we developed a program specifically for those people in that category. And it's called Music Blast Off, and it's one of our popular programs. We usually run it twice a year, and it allows we do 1 week of piano, ukulele, voice, percussion, and then we do a jam session for the last few weeks. And so the kids get a feel for a few different instruments, and mom and dad go, okay, I could see that they would want to stick with this one, or this fits, or no, piano's not for them. They want to do ukulele, right? It just gives them a chance to test the waters.
That's a
And
great idea. Now, of course, not all kids are necessarily excited to take music lessons. I know I took piano when I was a kid, and then I resisted it after a couple of years, and so we just kind of stopped it. Now, of course, I regret it, right? But if a kid is being stubborn and they resist taking these lessons, where does a parent go from there?
I would say for sure talk to your teacher. Your teacher is probably your biggest asset in terms of your kid's education. There's lots of things that you can do as a parent to help incentivize the process. But if your kids are, I have students who come who are they might practice once a week right now, and I have students who are practicing 6 to 8 hours a week. So it varies. Every kid's going to be different. And I think ultimately you have to consider what's the kid's interest. Like, are they totally invested in this? And if they're not, then what's a goal that you could work towards to say, hey, let's get you to a certain level, and then we can revisit, pulling you out or shifting your focus.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you
yeah.
can they still learn if they're not motivated?
Oh, 100%. I've had students over the years that have come to me who literally they come to my piano lab class, and they're attentive, they do what they're supposed to, they're progressing. It's just slower, that's all. They're still progressing, they're still moving forward, they're still getting through their music. It's just a little slower, that's it.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I'm guessing there's probably kids who aren't naturally gifted or inclined to be musically, musically that way. So, how do you teach those children?
I teach them the exact same way that I would teach anybody else.
Yeah.
When it comes to teaching, you got to have a special skill set to do it, and so the ability to adapt is probably your biggest skill set as a teacher. And so, if I got a student who's really, really, really progressing quickly, then I got to keep up with them. And if I got a student who's really, really slow, then I got to maybe back my pace off a little bit
Sure.
in terms of what I'm pushing for, and allow them to lead a little bit. And we take our small wins when we get them, right?
Yeah,
With
for
with
sure.
those students. So
Do,
yeah.
do you ever get parents who say, you know what, I just didn't realize how much time and effort it's going to take me as a parent to oversee my kids learning music, and it's almost like the parents just want to give up. What do you do in that situation?
Good question. So as much as the parents are your cheerleader at home, um, your teacher can be your cheerleader at home too, so to speak. So I have parents who reach out to me, hey, I'm really struggling with this week. My kiddo's having temper tantrums. What do I do? And I always recommend that we try and keep music a positive thing. And so um, kids love a challenge sometimes. And so it'll be like, I'll say to parents, why don't you give them a little challenge? Hey, you play me this line 6 times, and then we can look at having a play date with your friend. Or you can incentivize it with anything in the world, and you're like the parents know their kids best. So yeah, it does take some effort on the parents' part, but Um,
Along with those struggles and challenges, I'm sure you get tons of positive comments as well from parents and students.
yes, absolutely. And I think that one of the important parts, and I think one of the things that's super important when you're learning is that you're seeing results. And you're the one that, like, the parents are the ones who can see the results, like, probably the biggest, because they're not in the classroom, they're just listening to the outcome of what happens in the classroom. And so if students are able to progress and get some momentum, then their motivation usually increases, their desire increases, their enjoyment increases. And so we try to strike that balance between progress and, like, making sure that they're learning fundamentals and doing it in a quality way, but then also having some fun too.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah.
exactly. You mentioned earlier that you even get some seniors that are taking some lessons. So,
Yes.
what are the benefits for a senior to take lesson? Are there the same kind of benefits for them, cognitively, I guess, and whatnot?
Yes. There's been a few studies that have been released about the prevention on dementia, and just, like, deterioration of our brains, right? As we get older, that happens naturally, and so music is one of the things that can act as a reconnector in your brain and allow it to keep the connections that you've already made. Helps with memory, um, and it's also a good way to socialize when you're older too.
So, how can parents get their kids enrolled in music lessons? Is it just a matter of like Google, look up a music school? How do you know what the best one is?
That's a good question. So, I would for sure recommend that people chat in their circle of friends, see what's working for your the people in your demographic, and then a Google search doesn't hurt. It's probably where most people go, and I think that the enrollment process for us super easy. You go to our website, and you can actually just self book online, right into any classes that are available with any teachers that have any availability. We love music, and if your teachers love music, then the hope is that that transfers to the students. And so that's our goal: change lives through the art of music.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks so much for being with us today, Ray. We really appreciate having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Ray Ross is the CEO of Sound and Soul Music and Arts in Lethbridge.